He laughed before she even finished speaking. It wasn't a kind laugh, not the kind you share between teammates. It was the laugh of someone who believed he'd already won, the kind of laugh that says you don't belong here. She stood in the gym doorway, coat zipped tight, trying to steady her breath. "I can't do PT today," she said, voice calm but shaky. "I'm not feeling well." The man across from her, one of the unit's strongest, most confident soldiers, snorted. Everyone says that. Everyone finds an excuse. She felt her cheeks burn. Her heart thudded in her chest like a trapped bird. She could have backed down. She could have forced a smile and walked away. But something in her refused to be dismissed. She took a slow breath and lifted her chin. "Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening." The gym was bright and loud. The air smelled of sweat and rubber mats, sharp and heavy. Soldiers ran in circles, shouted at each other, and pushed themselves until their muscles screamed. She had been here many times before. She had always been one of them. But today, she felt like a stranger. She wasn't trying to avoid PT. She wasn't trying to be weak. She was trying to hide the pain. She could feel it in her ribs, a constant throb beneath her jacket. Every breath was a reminder of the day she had lost a part of herself, the day she had survived. She tightened her grip on the coat zipper and waited for the laughter to fade. It didn't. The man stepped closer, his voice loud enough for others to hear. "What's your excuse this time? A headache? A bad night?" She looked around at the soldiers watching. Some were amused, others were indifferent. A few looked away, uncomfortable, as if they knew the moment was becoming cruel. She could have lied. She could have invented a story and kept her secret buried. But the truth was already in her body, was in the way her breathing stuttered, in the way her hands trembled, in the way she flinched when someone bumped into her. She decided to stop pretending. Her fingers moved slowly to the zipper. The gym noise faded, as if the world itself was holding its breath. She pulled the coat open. The room went quiet. A long, thin scar ran across her ribs, partially hidden by a bandage and the edge of her shirt. Blood had stained the fabric once, but it had been cleaned. The wound was old, but the pain was not. The man's laugh died in his throat.
"Ow."
The soldiers around her stared, shocked, unsure of what to say. The air felt thick, as if dust had settled over the room. She stood there, chest rising and falling, exposed and vulnerable. She wasn't asking for sympathy. She wasn't begging for respect. She was simply showing the truth. The man who had mocked her stepped back, his face changing from amusement to confusion, then to guilt. Eyes flicked to the scar, and something in him shifted. He wasn't laughing anymore. A hush spread through the gym. Someone whispered, "She got hit." In combat, another voice said, "She's a hero." The truth was loud enough to drown out the earlier cruelty. Her mind flashed back to the day the wound happened, the smell of smoke, the sound of explosions, the feeling of being pinned down, helpless, while the world around her shook. She remembered the moment she decided to keep fighting, even when every part of her body begged her to stop. She remembered the fear, the anger, the guilt. She remembered the moment she realized survival was not a victory, it was a responsibility. Now, standing in the gym, she felt that responsibility again, this time not to a mission, but to herself. She looked at the man who had laughed. His face was pale, his eyes avoided hers. His pride had been stripped away, replaced by a shame he couldn't hide. He opened his mouth, but no words came. She felt a moral question rise in her chest. She could confront him, make him pay for his cruelty. She could let the wound become a weapon. But she didn't. Instead, she reached down and touched the bandage gently, as if reminding herself she was still human. She took a breath and spoke softly. "I didn't come here to be your example," she said. "I came here because I still belong." The gym remained silent, but the silence was different now. It wasn't the silence of humiliation. It was the silence of respect. The man swallowed hard. He nodded once, barely noticeable, like a soldier admitting he had been wrong. The other soldiers began to move again, slowly, as if the world was returning to its rhythm. Some nodded at her, others looked away, still processing the moment. But the change had already happened. She zipped her coat back up, not because she was hiding, but because she was choosing to move forward. She took a step toward the running track, and the pain in her ribs throbbed, reminding her that courage was not the absence of pain, was moving forward despite it. As she walked, she realized that respect was not given, it was earned, and sometimes it came in the quietest moments. Because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. The gym lights hummed overhead, as the air smelled of sweat and determination. And she kept walking, not as someone who needed to prove herself, but as someone who had already proven the most important thing. She was still standing,